Division winners, playoff teams, all the awards. We're going to predict the 2024 season for you today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
Joe, happy National Trent Williams ends his holdout day to you here on Locked On NFL Scouting.
And then there was one.
And then there was one holdout left. Well, maybe Jamar Chase, at least he's at practice, but we don't really know how that went.
He's physically there.
He's physically there. There's one player physically not there left.
One. That's a Creed song. One.
What?
You don't know the Creed song One? Come on, no, Kyle Crabbs. No. When were you born? You don't know that song?
That's not real.
You don't know the song One by
Creed? The only Creed songs that I know were the radio bangers. So I don't
Wasn't one on the radio? I don't know, man.
No, I think this is fake.
My high school football coach loved Creed, boy, and he played it in the weight room, buddy. That thing was blasting every day. So I know a lot about Creed.
Well, we don't want to get any copyright strikes, so
careful.
We won't sing it or anything, but let's get into this. This 2024 predictions.
You better get started because
I just keep sitting here thinking of like segues that are going to lead to singing of the songs, and we're not doing it. So we're going to get into our predictions. We have playoff fields, the AFC and NFC, and we have our award picks for all the real awards. We don't have a comeback player of the year pick because it's a fake award.
Right.
As evidenced by Joe Flacco winning it last year, coming back from not being a good player.
Coming back from the couch, baby. All right.
And still finishing, didn't he finish top 12 in interceptions?
Oh, yeah. He threw up some YOLO balls, boy. He was just launching it out there, seeing what happens, living his best life. Now he gets to be the backup in Indy, chilling. Joe Flacco, I'll tell you, that's a guy that wants to just be around a football team, just willing to kind of just go wherever, chill for a year as the backup.
I regret to inform you, I am fake news. He had 21 players in the NFL had more interceptions than he did.
Yeah, but where was he? What's the percentage? What's his interception percentage?
3.9%.
That's healthy, Kyle Crabbs.
Amongst qualifying passers, that is number one in the NFL in front of Mac Jones and Sam Howell, or the other two. There was four guys above 3%.
Josh is there. You could say it.
Josh
3.1,
and then Desmond Ritter.
Yeah,
the only difference is one of those guys had 40 touchdowns.
That seems like an important detail. And the turnover worthy play percentage was real different for all those guys. Josh, every interceptable pass, they got it. They got it last year. So, okay.
Every time I watch Josh Allen play, never has any turnover worthy plays. Just scores a bunch of touchdowns.
Well, all right. Shall we? AFC.
Yeah, let's do it.
You want me to give you my field? I'm going to give you my field. How about that? Or you want to give me yours?
Start with the 1 seed?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to type it in as we go.
Okay. My 1 seed for the AFC. Stunner. Kansas City Chiefs.
Do you have a record?
Yeah. 13-4.
13-4. Okay. 2 seed.
My number 2 seed. Baltimore Ravens. 11-6.
Okay.
My 3 seed. Houston Texans. Also 11-6.
Okay.
My 4 seed, Buffalo Bills, also 11-6.
Okay.
My 5 seed, the Miami Dolphins, 11-6.
Okay.
My 6th seed, the Bengals, 11-6.
Okay.
And the 7 seed, Jaguars, 9-8.
Okay. League of parity. Now 5 teams with 11 wins in your playoff field.
Yeah.
I have some similar results we're going to talk about. My 1 seed was Kansas City. I had them at 15-2. I think they'll probably lose a few games they shouldn't, but that's because they know what they can do and what they can't do.
Yeah, you got to toss them in there, Go ahead and throw one in there to the Raiders.
Right. I have the Baltimore Ravens as my 2 seed as well.
Oh.
They were 12-5.
Healthy.
The biggest difference that we really have with our playoff pictures in the AFC is the win totals. I had a 12-5 Miami team as my 3 seed.
Healthy.
I had
Healthy.
a change of heart from our crossover.
Healthy.
Episode.
Kyle smelling the week 1 smelling salts. My guy's ready to go.
Well, we can get into it, but it has a little bit to do with some AFC teams, but it also has a little bit to do with some NFC teams that, like, as we've gotten closer to the season, I have some more questions with teams that are on Miami's schedule that I think can juice them for a win. My 4 seed is the 10-7 Houston Texans.
Okay.
My 5 seed is the 11-6 Buffalo Bills. My 6 seed is the 10-7 New York Jets. And my 7 seed is the 10-7 Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh. Okay.
6
so we
out of 7 playoff teams alike.
Okay. So we have a different AFC East winner. I'm stunned that you picked the Dolphins.
To be fair, I did not pick the Dolphins to beat the Bills head to head.
So you have the Bills sweeping the Dolphins, but
Yes.
the Dolphins winning the division.
Yes.
That'd be something. That'd be something.
It is, a lot of it comes back to those first place versus second place games, those 3 uncommon opponents.
Lions and Packers, that feels negligible, right?
I have Miami losing the Packers game.
And what's the other ones?
Chiefs versus Raiders and Browns versus Ravens.
Yeah, hear you on that.
So that was the difference for me.
Okay.
With their schedules.
So we have one team different. I have Jacksonville in.
Yep.
You have the Jets. I
also had Jacksonville at 9-8.
Okay. I had the Jets at 9-8. The tiebreaker goes to Jacksonville.
Okay.
Okay. So do you want to tell you why I don't think the Jets are a playoff team?
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to tell me about bad vibes and.
Yeah, bad vibes matter, but I don't know. It's been 3 years since we've seen Aaron Rodgers play at a high level. It's his first season basically with this team. He's 40 and coming off of an Achilles. They're counting on Mike Williams and Tyron Smith and Elijah Vera Tucker and Aaron Rodgers himself to be healthy. Defensively, I don't think they have the same depth they've had in recent years, especially on their defensive line. And I think that goes throughout their entire defense, right? But I understand the best argument you can make about the Jets is that this has been a 7-win team each of the last 2 years with Zach Wilson and a terrible offensive line, right? That says a lot. But I also feel like this is a team that has expectations that they didn't earn. And I worry about them playing from that vantage point, especially with the dynamics that I've already laid out.
I think it's totally fair. The biggest thing that I have with the Jets is the first 10 weeks of the schedule are very, very digestible.
Right.
So as I sit here and I go game by game, it's like, I'm going to have to pick the Jets to lose some stinkers that realistically they shouldn't lose from a talent perspective.
Yeah.
If they have even just average quarterback play.
Yeah.
So for case in point, I believe I had the Jets at 9-2 through the first 11 games.
I can tell you that I have them exactly at that. And then the wheels fall off for me. Yeah.
So you have them losing the final 6 games of the season.
Yeah. So this is their losses. The 49ers in week 1. And that's it. They're 8-1. They're 8-1.
Could you imagine the coverage around this team if that happens?
And then 8-1 and finished 9-8?
Yeah.
Yeah, here for it.
So, and just a quick recap of their early season schedule. It's at San Francisco Monday night, potentially without Hassan Reddick, with San Francisco getting both their premier cornerstone players back that had been in holdouts. At Tennessee, short week at home against the Patriots, home against the Broncos with extra rest. You go to Minnesota to play Sam Darnold in the Sam Darnold revenge game. You get the Bills at home on Monday night. Go to Pittsburgh, at New England, home against Houston, short week on Thursday, extra rest for your West Coast trip to Arizona to play the Cardinals, and then you have the Colts at home before the bye in week 12.
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
I also have Miami at 8-0 to start their season.
Wow, you picked Miami to beat the Bills in week 2.
Yeah, of course I did.
Could not be me. I would never, wouldn't tempt the football gods with.
Like, I would never.
Yeah, and for Miami, you look at how their early season schedule plays out too. It's I can understand why it plays out that way, because you have the Patriots, you have the Titans at home, you go to Seattle as a West Coast trip, but that's with extra rest with the Thursday game the week before. You get Buffalo on the short week in week 2. Coming out of the bye to play the Colts, and then you're home against the Cardinals coming to the East Coast. Like, they have a lot of favorable draws as well. So I do think this division, what's really interesting is how the early season sets up. And we saw last year, Miami had the 3-game lead, 2.5-game lead in December, and Buffalo got hot because they were kind of soft at the end of the year, and they played their best football, and then they won the head-to-head. And I look at Buffalo's...
It's hard all the way through.
Probably their last 5. The one you really don't feel good about is going to Detroit, with Detroit coming off the bye.
Yeah, hate that, yeah.
But like the Rams, this was another one of the teams that I looked at, and it was part of the pathway for me getting to an extra win for Miami versus my original record prediction of 11-6. Like the Rams, all the youth on the defensive side of the ball. I don't want to do the NFC side of things first, but like now you're trading Ernest Jones. Troy Reader's your green dot player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and now I just have so many questions for that team defensively, for a team that has an all-pro quarterback like a Josh Allen, or a team that has the skill players like Miami does. You looked at that game back in May and you're like, yeah, it could be pretty tough. And now you see like, okay, what did you get from an infusion of veterans post June 1st? Oh, now you're trading one of your top 3 defensive players away at linebacker.
Yeah.
So that's in there for Buffalo. You get the Patriots twice the final 3 weeks. But Buffalo does not have the luxury, because the first 6 weeks you got to play in Baltimore, in Houston, in New York, in Miami.
Yeah.
The Jets and Dolphins have a little bit of a luxury with their first half of season schedule that Buffalo does.
Real quick on Jacksonville, since I have them as a playoff team, I like their talent. I do. I feel like they've gotten some veterans on this offensive line that's going to matter. Defensively, they just have prototypes everywhere, and I really like Ryan Nielsen. I think a lot of my belief in Jacksonville is that it's Ryan Nielsen with the skill sets that they have on defense. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's enough continuity for Jacksonville offensively with their play callers, with Kirk, with Ingram, with ETN, with a couple pieces up front. But I feel like they kind of filled in the margins pretty well this offseason, and I feel like they can get in.
Great.
Okay, all right. NFC side of things coming up here in just a moment. Be sure to stick with us. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we got a little something different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Just visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook.
Should I go first on the NFC side of things?
Go first, Kyle Crabbs.
All right, so I have my 1 seed is the 14-3 San Francisco 49ers. My 2 seed is the 12-5 Detroit Lions. My 3 seed is the 11-6 Atlanta Falcons. My 4 seed is the 10-7 Philadelphia Eagles. My 5 seed is the 12-5 Green Bay Packers. My 6 seed is the 10-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And my 7 seed is the 9-8 Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. All right. Some similarities, a little bit different. You ready for this? Joe Marino's NFC predictions.
Let's do it.
Number 1 seed, Detroit Lions.
One
You want the record, right? 14-3 is what I got them at.
Okay.
Number 2 seed, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Their record's 13-4.
Okay.
My 3 seed is the Philadelphia Eagles. Their record is 11-6.
Okay.
My 4 seed is the Atlanta Falcons. They come in at 9-8.
9-8. Okay.
Yeah.
Hater.
For sure. The 5 seed, Green Bay Packers. Also the 12-5. The 12-5 5 seed Packers.
Okay.
6 seed is Dallas Cowboys. They come in at 9-8.
Okay.
And the 7 seed,
Chicago.
Rams, 9-8.
Okay.
9-8.
Okay.
Well, it's tight on the Rams, buddy. I'll tell you. But I just like their offense. That O-line with that run game with Sean McVay, they're gonna pound the rock, man. Now let's hope they don't do a leaky on defense. I'm greatly concerned about
that.
Defense.
That's the question, right? Is how complimentary will your game script be? You'd like to think you can control the flow and pace of the game if you can run the ball with reliability, like we're expecting that they're going to be able to do. But if you have to consistently put up points,
it's tough
to win games, then it's kind of interesting that they're angling towards playing a possession-based game, right? Instead of an explosives. You think about McVay, and it's been a lot of explosives, but I want to slow it down. We're going to control the clock. We're going to keep the ball out of your hands a little bit. Kind of an interesting transition year for them. I think after making the playoffs last year.
Dude, I get it with the defense. A lot of it has to come together. I mean, everything's new, right? It feels like, especially the back seven. I think it's a defense that they just want negative plays, right? They want tackles for loss. They want sacks. They want to get their hands on footballs, right? They got some ball hawks in the back end. Like, that's what they're going to try to play. I think you can probably score some points, but you got to not turn over the football. And I think that's what they're going for.
And to be fair to the Rams, I do have them just one game worse than you at 8-9. So we have them pretty similarly graded as teams. My first one out was Chicago at 9-8, though.
Oh, I have them at 8-9. I have Tampa at 8-9. I have Seattle at 8-9. So, like, one thing goes different. That 7 seed can get real crazy.
Can we talk a little bit about Seattle?
Yeah, go ahead. I like Seattle.
Just an interesting team. I like a lot of like what they are in theory.
Yeah, too much that has to come together, Kyle.
Oh, Mike McDonald, first year in the system. Sounds like they're going to play a lot of man coverage. I think that's great news for Reek Woolen and Devin Witherspoon. But the other safety spot with opposite Julian Love, being, is it Rayshon Jenkins? Is it Colby Bryant? Who's that player? How high can they elevate their game? This was a safety-driven defense in Baltimore. So kind of like Witherspoon will help. He'll be a critical piece of that puzzle for sure. But, Baltimore at times was out there running 3 safeties out on the field, and I don't know that they have that straw to stir the drink on the back end in the way that Kyle Hamilton did. Like it kind of feels like Witherspoon can kind of do it all, but he doesn't have the size and the length to be the mismatch box type player. So I have some questions there. Their edge group, I have some questions with, especially with Uchenna Nwosu looking like he's going to miss some time.
Right, and if they had Taylor and Nwosu, you'd be like, it's just deep with Mafe.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so we traded away Taylor, and so we're banking a lot on Derek Hall.
Yeah.
Having a breakout year this year, and Mafe continuing to develop as a player. Offensively, the interior offensive line is a lot of new. Connor Williams coming off a season-ending injury last year, late in the year in December. And obviously Ryan Grubb is the offensive coordinator. Right. What does that look like? How well does that transition happen for him as somebody who I don't think has ever coached at the NFL level before?
Right. So that's the thing about Seattle. I like so much of what you have. There's just too much for me to believe in coming together this quickly. Now the NFC helps you, and I have them a game out. Like, it's very tight.
I think that's why I was surprised to hear that you had them at 8 wins. That's a little bit higher than I have them. I have them at 6.
So what we just talked about a team that we don't have making the playoffs. Yeah. The difference was I had the Rams and you had who? From the field?
Tampa.
Well, you know how I feel about Tampa. I think their middle three interior offensive line is a major question mark. And defensively, like, do we have enough edge rushers? Do we have another starting caliber linebacker? Do we have a starting caliber corner? Like, that's a lot for me to
I actually think they're pretty deep on, and then they added Royce Newman too to their offensive line. And I know Packers fans will tell you it's the one player Packers fans aren't absolutely in love with and think that he's the best player in the history of mankind. But you got Barton, Mock, Robert Hainsey's a good player. Royce Newman now, Elijah Klein is a draft pick that they have in there with Godecki and Tristan Wirfs. Like, I think they have
their
some
tackles.
depth.
I like their tackles. That's what I'll say.
The tackles are great.
Mock and Barton are young players. How good are they going to be in right now? Can they come together quickly? I think Ben Bredesen's probably going to be their left guard.
Probably. But you can hide around one guard.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I have a rookie center and a second-year right guard who I think needs to take a big step in year two.
Okay. I don't know. I think they're going to be wanting to run the ball enough to keep you off balance.
See Rachaad White's metrics, buddy? He's just
I understand. Good thing it's a good thing you're an avid Bucky Irving fantasy owner.
Yeah, let's go, Bucky Irving. We need you, baby. So that's we had maybe some different orders, but that was like fundamentally where we were.
Yeah, different. I mean, you were 2 games higher on Detroit than I was.
I'm drinking all the Lions.
You're drinking all the Kool-Aid. You've been doing the podcast with Brett, so I get it.
You know, I've been liking the Lions for a long time.
I know, and I'm a big Lions guy too.
This is an NFC Championship team. They had them on the brink, baby.
Reasonable.
This is a battle-tested Lions team, Kyle Crabbs.
Yeah. I think Detroit you can look at probably the last 5 of the last 6 games. It's a big test for them. You got Green Bay coming to town. You got Buffalo coming to town. You got to go to Chicago late in the year. They should be a little bit more gelled as a team that's got a lot of new. And then at San Francisco on Monday night, week 17.
Yeah, they'll have a chance.
That stretch of games for them was where I had them going 2-2 in that block, and that's what kind of cost them in the hierarchy of the standings for me.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about the Lions is they're going to have their opportunities. They get Green Bay, they get San Francisco. Of course, they get Green Bay as a divisional team, but they have to go to San Francisco, right? That's a Monday night game.
Yes. Yeah.
They don't play. Who do they play from the East? Don't they? You got to play Dallas or Philly, right?
They get Dallas coming out of Detroit's bye. They go to Dallas, but it's on the bye.
That's a good draw for them. Huh?
It's a great draw for them. But then a couple weeks later, they have to go to Green Bay and then to Houston, and Houston coming off the bye in back-to-back weeks. So that like there was enough potholes in it for me that's like I like a lot of what you're doing. I think that the run defense is going to be even more dominant now that you've added another dominant player to the inside mix that you have there.
Kyle, I got the plan. Just play them all and see what happens. Just play them all and see what happens.
That's right. Who's your number 1 pick?
For the draft?
Yeah.
I got clicked on a team here. I think it's the Panthers.
Really?
Hold on. I got to get some reason I'm stuck on the 4. Here we go. My draft order, Patriots number 1. No, it's not. It's Patriots number 1 pick. I have them at 2 and 15. Then I have the Panthers picking number 2 at 5 and 12.
The Panthers at 5 and 12 are the number 2 pick?
Yeah, but do they even have their pick? Or are we back in the mix?
I think they're out of the woods with that.
Are they? You just did a mock draft yesterday. Did you have a Panthers pick?
I had the Panthers pick. Yeah, they picked. They picked Abdul Carter from Penn State.
So they're back in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, I have my top 5: Patriots at 2 and 15, Panthers at 5 and 12, Saints at 5 and 12, Commanders at 5 and 12, Broncos at 5 and 12.
Sean Payton would say the first time we win 6 games will be the next time we win 6 games will be the first time we win 6 games.
I know.
I had it. If you missed the mock on 33rd team, I'll tell you the teams. I'm not going to tell you all the picks. I had Giants and Patriots both at 2 and 15. Had a hard time finding wins for those teams. The Saints at 4 and 13 were number 3. The Vikings at 4 and 13. I think the quarterback situation will hurt them quite a bit, even though there is a lot to like about what their long-term build is at number 4. And then number 5, the Chargers, who were 5 and 12.
Chargers at 6 and 11.
Okay.
We're not far off. I had the Giants at 6 and 11 as well.
Can I get a quick timeout since we're getting ready to transition into awards? I was looking at the the odds on FanDuel for awards.
Yeah.
You know who the odds on favorite is in the books for Coach of the Year right now?
I don't.
Jim Harbaugh.
Well, hey, we both think this is a 5 or a 6 win team. If they go out and make the playoffs,
go out and win 10 games, and I'll be the first one to eat crow. I'm not going to tell you like I'm like that guy, that Florida State fan. Have you been up to speed on this at all?
Not with the Florida State fan. I know that they lost, and DJU is not good to Boston College. And Bill O'Brien's a coach at Boston College.
There was a Florida State fan after they lost to Georgia Tech who was like, "We're going to beat BC, and if we don't, I'll eat dog poop and post a video."
Oh,
and
no. You don't have to do these things.
He's deleted all of his accounts. He's deleted like his Instagram, his Twitter, his Facebook. People are trying to find him and be like, "Hey, man, like what happened?" It's like, never put it on the internet.
Right.
Because you never know when your team's going to start 0-2 and DJ can't complete a forward pass for another 23 minutes of the game. And
maybe next year it'll come together for DJ. Get him to a SMU or something, you know?
I think this is mercifully his last year of eligibility, so I don't think that's.
I saw a 9th-year player the other day, Kyle Crabbs.
Yeah,
you can't convince
Miami Hurricanes tight end, ninth year.
Got a touchdown pass. Saw it happen. Yeah.
All right, we got to get into awards. We're going to get into that next here on this episode of Locked On NFL Scouting. Make sure you stick with us,
folks. You know you want to get to these games this season. Well, if you do, get the Game Time app. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a stressful process to buy tickets. And if you have the Game Time app, it's not. Game Time is the fast and easy way to purchase tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. I love the app. It's easy to navigate. They give you flash deals. They give you a seat view, and they also specialize in last-minute tickets. So if you don't know until the day of the event that you want to go, you can find a great deal on tickets over at Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when you know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire. That'll get you matched with a licensed therapist. And you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn.
Nah, I got to take a timeout.
This is another timeout. You're blowing them quickly here.
That's all right. We're in the fourth quarter of the podcast here.
Trying to rest your defense, or what do you need here?
Somebody else just put their playoff predictions out.
Oh, who is it?
Kyle Brantz.
Okay.
You want his NFC playoff field?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. He's got the Dallas Cowboys winning the East.
Okay.
He's got the Atlanta Falcons winning the South. He's got the Lions winning the North. And he's got the LA Rams winning the NFC West.
Okay, that's weird.
With the San Francisco 49ers, I want you to think about what I'm about to tell you. The San Francisco 49ers, the Chicago Bears, and the Arizona Cardinals as the playoff teams in the NFC.
NFC West dominance is here.
No Green Bay Packers.
Packers fans, get on them.
Oh, the top 3 replies.
Get on them. This is your new public enemy.
No Philadelphia Eagles. Rams over 49ers. Have the Rams won a head-to-head since the NFC Championship game?
I don't think they have won a game, Kyle, against them.
Won a game. All right, the AFC field.
Bills number 1 seed, obviously.
Not as crazy as the NFC field. It's the Chiefs, Texans, Bills, and Ravens are division winners. It makes sense. It's logical. Wild card teams. My Miami Dolphins.
All right, there you go.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
And the LA Chargers.
Hey, listen. Kyle Crabbs, you know as well as I do, this doesn't look great on paper, but
sometimes it happens.
Right, man. Like, I don't want to sit here and go too hard, buddy. We just went on record with our picks, you know?
Correct. And you know, the unpredictable stuff happens every year. But it was funny just to see like it pop up on the timeline and be like, oh, somebody else did their playoff predictions. Oh, he's got some different stuff. Oh, he's buying the Cardinals. Oh, he's buying the Chargers. We just got done saying Harbaugh have a winning season and you're slam dunk for coach of the year.
The Cardinals is the most surprising thing about all that, right?
I think so.
They don't have enough on defense. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think they'll have an opportunistic offense, but they don't have the horses on defense, man.
I'm inclined to agree. I look at both the Cardinals and the Rams, and both of those teams I'm a little concerned about the defense depth chart. All right. MVP picks. Are you aware that I have a spreadsheet that all this is in?
No.
That you have access to? So you could have peeked?
Okay. I'm not a peeker, man. I like to just enjoy the surprise in real time.
So then you will be tickled pink to know that I do have Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills as my MVP pick this year.
Stunning.
I think this is the first time I've ever done it.
I appreciate you doing it. Maybe this is exactly what Josh needed was your support.
All he needed was my doubt in the draft process to push him onto a historic trajectory as dual threat quarterback. So the fact that I can give him the extra nudge here this year is the MVP vote. I do think this is a team that is going to win more games than I think the lay person expects with their personnel losses. I have them at 11-6. You have them at 11-6. So we both think this is an 11-win football team. But the supporting cast around him with all the change, I think that opens the door for the voters to appreciate what he is able to do this season.
All right. If this happens, Kyle, buddy, it will be your fault. I will always remember this moment.
And the Mafia can leave me alone. You just say thank you.
They're not going to believe you. They're going to celebrate you. You're going to get a statue, Kyle.
That's great. Great. So
it's going to be a statue of somebody giving you a flat tire.
I assume that you have Josh Allen as your MVP pick as well.
I do not. No, my MVP, Kyle, come on. Is there any other choice besides Jordan Love to be the NFL MVP?
Is that who you actually have?
That's honestly my pick, and I know that's a little bit tongue in cheek, but I really mean it. I think Jordan Love's awesome, and
yes,
I think his skill set is incredible, and he's there are certain skill sets that are going to win MVPs and are not, right? Like last year when Brock Purdy wasn't the NFL MVP and Lamar Jackson was, it told you everything about the way that the voters, look at these types of things. And I think Jordan Love, the youngest roster in the NFL, right? No true number one receiver. Mm-hmm. He's going to put up big numbers. He throws touchdowns, right? He's going to have some rushing production. And I have the Packers at 12-5. If that happens, that means Jordan Love really built upon what he showed us last year. And so I think everything's just really ripe for him. And I know it's a trendy pick, but I think it's the right one.
Well, and I forgot what I was going to say there. I had something really good to follow
Jordan
up.
Love, something about Jordan Love.
Yeah, it's
ripe opportunity. The Packers are young. Dolphins are the oldest, roster in the league.
You could think Poyer, Armstead, and Calais Campbell for that one.
I went in on that on Locked On Bills this morning. I'm like, the most ridiculous stat that anybody cares about is average roster age. Sorry, Ross Jackson, this episode's going to be a little bit longer. But like the difference, first of all, the difference between 1 and 32 is 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's got to be about the players that matter. Who cares if your long snapper and your punter are 36 years old each?
And Morstead's killing the Jets.
Like, who cares? Who cares about that? I think it means something if you're on the low end. Like, that's okay. But it matters how you get there. Well, you know what I mean? If you just have some older depth players, who cares?
And there's a balance to it, too. I think that's an important piece of experience and how you get experience. And do you need players to help you with breaking plateaus as a team? I think there is such a thing as too much youth. If you have big picture aspirations, and balancing all that is a challenge. And you see teams on all sides of that fence.
Yeah.
And eventually they transition out the old guys and get more new guys because the young guys that were there become the new old guys.
Right.
Circle of life.
Right. If you're a good enough team to get to that point, right? You could just be a team that's always just
reset, red button, just keep hitting the red button and blowing it up and starting over again.
Right. All right.
Offensive player of the year pick for me, Christian McCaffrey, running back. Oh, my comment was actually on Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey was higher in the MVP voting than Brock Purdy was last year. That was the point that I was going to make. And it's like 40-something 100 passing yards, 35 plus touchdowns, 12-4 record as a starter, 1 seed in the NFC. Nah, Christian McCaffrey's going to get all the votes. It's the world that I live in. I caught flack from Dolphins fans when we did the crossover show talking about I didn't mention Tua for MVP stuff.
Yeah, he's not eligible.
It's the thought process of the voters.
Right.
It's
I'm not saying he shouldn't be in it.
I think he's capable of having an MVP caliber season.
Right. He can go out.
But it doesn't matter what I think because I don't have a vote, and the voters just told you what they think about skill sets that are going to win MVP at quarterback and skill sets that are not.
Yeah, Tua or Purdy.
Reality of the voters and the people who make that decision.
They can throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, and it might not be enough, right? If a Mahomes or a Rodgers or a Love or Lamar has a decent year, they'll probably go with that. One of these types of guys, that's what they're going to do. All right, your offensive player of the year is Christian McCaffrey. That feels straightforward. Mine is Bijan Robinson. Buddy, he's going to eat on this football team. Veteran offensive line. And there's no vulturing here. Kirk Cousins not getting any rushing touchdowns, right? He's going to produce. I think Kirk Cousins is going to give him the ball in the passing game as well.
So then explain how the Falcons are 9-8.
I don't know. I think
not digging it.
No, I'm digging it. I am the division winner hosting a playoff game. I mean,
hosting the Packers.
Yeah, it's a tough draw, right?
It's not great.
Yeah, they're probably going to get bounced in that game.
But defensive player of the year. Go ahead.
Maxx Crosby.
I also have Maxx Crosby.
Infrastructure, Wilkins next to him, Kuntz on the other side. He's going to eat, man. Those pressures are going to turn into sacks. He's going to be a monster. He is a monster, but the numbers are going to be nuts this year.
Yeah. Offensive rookie of the year.
You go ahead.
I have Caleb Williams.
Same
quarterback,
here.
Chicago Bears.
It's going to be the whichever rookie quarterback has the best year, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think Caleb's got a better cast around him, and I think that will help. Now, I think the ultimate wild card here is how much does Jaden Daniels run, because I think that could be the great equalizer. If he becomes a fantasy darling with how big of an industry fantasy football has become, I think that raises his profile a little bit more. But Caleb, we think has a realistic chance to beat some records.
Oh, he goes out. He 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in Chicago. It's
yeah. Some franchise records. Defensive rookie of the year.
Laitu Latu.
I tried hard not to pick Laitu Latu, and I still pick Laitu Latu. Just really pro-ready player. Accelerated role because of the injury to Samson Ebukam.
Yeah.
I kept asking, okay, is there another team that's going to earn the right to rush the passer a little bit more, where somebody might outproduce him and a potential tackle machine at linebacker? And it's no, I can't get there. Just authentically, we're just going to be honest. And
too many moves.
Latu is in the prime position to have big time sack numbers because of an injury, and we felt he was probably the most pro-ready guy on the edge.
Yeah. Coach of the year?
Go ahead.
I have Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I'd hope so at 14-3.
Right, that's what it comes down to, right? If they're 14-3, the best record in the league, it's going to be Dan Campbell.
Raheem Morris, Atlanta Falcons.
11-6, right? You had them?
I had the Falcons at 11-6. They're the 3 seed. Their draw would be Tampa Bay with a divisional opponent. Like your odds there to advance. But, of course, this is not a postseason award, as we know. But Atlanta, the last couple of years being a 7-win football team, obviously they've invested big in a lot of spots to kind of improve this, between the trade for Matt Judon and Kirk Cousins and drafting Michael Penix. And I think there is a breakout, and I think Raheem can squeeze a little bit more water out of the stone that is some of the young talent that they've drafted in past years. You mentioned Bijan Robinson, but I think even some of the defensive guys, they can get a little bit more out of too. And then they signed Justin Simmons, right?
Yeah.
I didn't make that up.
No, the Simmons and Judon in the last month here for their defense is nothing small.
Go ahead and put me down for Raheem Morris. I think he'll have a treat with those guys on his side of the ball. So I have him for Coach of the Year.
Speculation season is almost over, Kyle Crabbs.
Well, it's over for us, I can tell you that.
Right.
We can speculate about week 1, but the season speculation is in the books. That's going to do it for us here on this episode of Locked On NFL Scouting and Kyle Crabbs. He's Joe Marino. We appreciate you guys for checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your day. We will be back again tomorrow as we get ready for the start of the 2024 season.